Hello and happy Friday, everybody. We will be kicking off here in just a couple of minutes. Welcome, Truthful. Welcome, Anna. We'll be kicking off here. Hello, happy Friday to all of you. Here we are, June 3rd. We are kicking off June, 3 days in. I hope that, I don't know, everybody's in different places of the world, right? And I know that in Georgia, man, it is hot. It's getting into like 90 degrees every day. And now, I grew up in Ireland where like our hottest day is like maybe, we might hit 70 degrees, okay? Maybe. 72, that's like a scorcher, but it's like usually like, so when I moved over here and I started coming back and forth and I was living in Georgia, I was like, holy hell, how do people deal with this, man? And the humidity. So it's just crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, so we've been talking a lot lately about the beginning of the week. We were talking about being authentic, being true to ourselves, learning like some self-love, some self-understanding. But I'm really passionate about today's topic specifically. And I'm passionate about all my topics, but today holds a little special place for me personally. And before I kick into this, I want to say, Anna, I'm so glad to see you here. Truthful, I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for coming in. And, I invite you guys, please share this show. This is going to be a really important show. And so, Jimmy, welcome, man. Welcome. Happy Friday to you. But today, I want to really focus on how do we really truly understand that process of letting something go. And I've battled with this personally, like over the years and just through different situations, because things get implanted, embedded, intertwined, roped in, knotted up with our life, with our emotions, with our heart, with our spirit, with our goals, where we're going, what we're trying to do. We hold on to crap. We hold on to, we're angry about something. So we hold on to that anger. We hold on to all of these different moments and situations that, guess what, man? It's in the past. It's done. You've already been through it. You've already felt it. You've already suffered the consequences. Now it's time to let it go. And so often, that comment right there, man, that can piss people off. Hey, Jimmy, just let it go, man. Just let it go. Hey, Truthful, just let it go. Anna, let it go. Suck it up, buttercup. I hate that term, by the way. I hate suck it up, buttercup. Because you know what? Not everybody can just suck it up. We have to learn a process of how to let something go. But we also have to have that understanding that when you hold on to a negative, when you hold on to that poison, when you hold on to that, you're embracing it. You're bringing it into your own reality. You're bringing it into your own acceptance, and you're making that your normal. You're making that what you're used to. You're making it just that thing. Well, it just is what it is. And I'm sorry, people, but no, it's not. It is what it is because you're making it what it is. You're making it that way. And I say you, meaning us, humans. We do that because human beings, let me tell you something. None of us are perfect. We are all going to make mistakes. We are all going to come through challenges. We are all going to be faced with difficult people. We are all going to have to deal with those things in life because that's life. So letting it go needs to twist from being a, oh yeah, it's real, yeah, easy for you to say, let it go. But no, we got to start looking at it as a liberation moment. Liberating. You liberate yourself when you let something go. You liberate your emotions. You liberate your heart. You liberate your ability to be vulnerable and to trust and to love and to be self-caring and to have some self-compassion and all of these things. You liberate your mentality. Past hurts, old injustices, they have a bitter and nasty way of keeping you stuck in a track, unable to move forward or even experience happiness and joy. And it can take a radical reboot to get past your yesterday. A long shadow may be clouding your future. It's the shadow cast by the pain in your past, or the frustration, or the anger, and all of these things. The parent who wasn't there for you, the ex who betrayed you, the boss who humiliated you. Oh my God, we harbor all of that. Maybe you're stuck in place by the unhappy residue of just your own bad choices, bad atmosphere, the job that you should have left a long time ago. Maybe the sexual secrets that you keep, the doctor's visits that you delayed. And that list could go on and on and on and on and on. We could have an entire show just based on that list, couldn't we? And let me tell you something. It is heart-stoppingly easy to get stuck in the darkness of bad memories. That is absolute emotional quicksand and exert a very strong downward pull on your mentality and your psyche. Sometimes the past traps us through unexamined clutter, spilling from every tabletop and corner, elbowing out the new and the possible. Or it can commandeer your daydreams, obsessively replaying old losses, past injustices, nagging guilt about the person that you tormented or maybe a friend that you let down. And we beat ourselves up and we repeat because we're not resolved with it, because we haven't let it go, because we're holding on to it, we're dragging it like a dead weight behind us. Maybe you're stuck in some kind of, litigation of like a marriage or divorce, even though like the divorce is like a decade old, but you still roll through things. This should have been different. That should have been different. All of that. Or in rage against the parent who belittled you or wasn't there for you, or it's yourself because you once fell for someone else's lies. The strong urge to right wrongs that can never be erased, to revisit hurt from which you should have been protected, to cling to lost love, to brood over something, to avenge. These are natural inclinations. But they're natural inclinations to a point and for a time. And let me tell you something. Time's up. Time's up. Enough's enough. Make a stop point. Make a stop point. It's an axiom of psychology that we are some recombination of all of our yesterdays. To move forward wisely, we are therefore often urged to just look back, you know. But there's a point where appreciation and analysis of the past becomes a toxic slime covering, you know, a toxic slime that covers your mental existence. It sticks you in place, you know, impedes forward motion. And like glue, it doesn't just disappear on its own. You need to do some scraping. Sometimes you got to kind of dig in a little bit. You got to unlayer, you got to uncover, you got to dig in, you got to understand. You have to allow yourself to actually process what it is you're holding on to. The power to get past the past does not lie primarily with the nature of events themselves. I mean, they count a lot, sure, but so do the steps forward that a person is willing to take and how much effort he or she is willing to expend to push some emotional rock up and out of the way. And think about that. You can see something and you can understand something to a degree of like you want to get that rock up and over. But you got to have the mentality of doing it. You got to have the choice and the desire to make the effort to get that rock pushed up and over. Getting unstuck requires being truthful with yourself about how you feel. You know, still angry, sad, or anxious, even though you wish you weren't, but holding out the possibility that someday you might feel better. Is there anything that you can't get over? Well, yes and no. You don't get over it, but you might find a different place to put it. You don't forget it, but the thought no longer intrudes. You know? You don't pretend it wasn't bad, but you have a sense that you can heal. You know, we don't get over the past, we get past it. I say this a lot. Let the past be the past at last. You know, learn from it. Realize that there are plenty of times when you will have to form your own closure for your own sanity. And that's important to know. That's important to understand. You know, getting past yesterday demands both thinking and doing. It's things we do as well as things that we think that hold us unwittingly in a painful place. And arguably, it's easy to shift behaviors. That is, once you pause to consider them. And more intricately, getting beyond yesterday is a psychological high-wire act of letting go, of reevaluating experiences and relinquishing old perspectives, of discarding cherished but mistaken beliefs. You know, often about what it takes to be happy. Of delicately but deeply recalibrating thoughts and feelings. Because we have to bring ourselves back around sometime. We have to bring ourselves to a point of a rediscovery of ourselves. Listen, letting go means something has to open in your head and in your heart. But that shift, that easing, comes up against our own invisible, often implicable resistance. A great deal of that resistance comes from nothing more pedestrian than the great human reluctance to change. Change is difficult. Even change for the better is still change, often initially dreaded and avoided. Because we're creatures of habit. We're creatures of inertia, you know? A great deal of psychological research attests to resistance, even to the positive change. It is one of the great marvels of clinical observations. How much discomfort people can tolerate before they acknowledge the need for change. And change is always uncomfortable, at least at first. And that's just because that's how we're sometimes wired. Letting go fights more than the powerful magnet of the status quo. It also comes into conflict with compelling, distorting thoughts that make holding on appear reasonable and right. We are given to magical thinking. Like, if I make more money, she's going to come back to me. And then to delusions. I must keep gathering this evidence. Somehow I can be proven right if I just stick with it. And then to just sheer errors of logic. My kids have never appreciated or admired my collections, but they will someday. That's why I have to hold on to them. And each thought pattern is a cunning argument against letting go. Each needs to be directly challenged and re-scripted before your heart and mind really open to a new state. This is a cycle, which unless changed, will inevitably make you feel worse. And that's a fact. At its deepest level, the prospect of letting go forces us up against our three strongest emotional drivers, which is what? Well, it's love, fear, and rage. Love, fear, and rage. Now, the tentacles of rage are easiest to understand, although difficult to escape. To let go of a past injustice that preoccupies us, we must relinquish our natural burning hope for equity, or at least for exposing to the world the wrongdoer. You know, your brother, your crooked business partner, your vicious former friend. For who? You know, for what, trying to promote like what they are, But dimming that internal flame of rage is effortful. Like the bad guy won. It happens. We go through that sometimes. You're not always going to have justice at the end of the rainbow. Then we look at love. Love itself is a powerful counterweight to letting go. Even when a relationship is out of your life, long after the breakup, the divorce, even the death, it may occupy your heart and your head. Letting go means loosening that internal attachment and therefore losing that love again. And that's hard. That's kind of a vicious point to think about, isn't it? What makes the fresh less worthwhile, of course, is that letting go of the old attachment opens up the real possibility of a new one in your life. That would be sufficient, even inspiring motivation, except that it leaves a blank spot where the future lives. And we mostly fill such blank spots with fear. Fear of unknown, fear of failure, fear of future loss, and additional pain. Fear makes us cling to what we know, however bad it makes us feel. Letting go means confronting these invisible emotional barriers, bringing them into your awareness and then struggling against them. It means challenging irrational, unproductive thinking until you get your head on straight. It means facing up to your fear and then calling on your courage and your character to face it down. And it means confronting your passionate attachment to a past love and reduce it from a boulder to a pebble. And then you put that pebble in your pocket as a cherished reminder and leave room in your heart for something new. Leave room in your life for something new. Leave room for something new. There's an array of specific behaviors that tend to hold us in the past. And many of us keep our homes crammed with underused, outgrown, or unloved objects. Whether we're reluctant to face the emotional twinge of letting go or just unwilling to invest the sheer time or effort it takes to divest, the mess clutters more than our closets. It clouds our vision and blocks positive change. When I sit down a new patient, one of the first things I ask them, if I walk into your house right now, what am I going to see? Am I going to see clutter and destruction? Am I going to see a mess? Am I going to be able to even get through it? Because the atmosphere that you live in is conducive to the atmosphere of your brain and of your mind. And that is true on so many different psychological levels, in so many different areas and arenas. Your brain and your living atmosphere often match. If those drawers are crammed with unpaid bills, well, take special notice. Listen, crushing debt casts a very long shadow, So debt kills your spirit and possibilities, doesn't it? Because we worry about money, we worry about our bills. Well, just face the problem. Make a plan. Get out. If you're receiving alimony or the like, which is less obvious, but it's still potentially subversive enough to merit attention. I mean, look, there's no free lunch. It's good to get the money, but it often comes with high emotional interest, doesn't it? You may keep paying and paying on in old anger and resentment because you're attaching so much more to it, because you can't just let go and move forward and do what you got to do, but focus on you being in a happy position. And then just kind of like alimony, holidays can be a double-edged sword, can't they? Tradition is beautiful, meaningful, and way overdone. If you're still enjoying the ritual, great. But if you have a secret yearning to kind of break free, but feel that you, quote unquote, wouldn't be allowed, maybe you don't have to be that stuck, right? Break the rule of Christmas morning and many other required behaviors, Break the rule. Give yourself permission. Do what you need to do. Focus on you. Make your life happy. You need to change a routine or a pattern that you just let yourself get nestled into, then fucking change it. Finally, fearsomely, there's that thing we do behind our own backs because we know we shouldn't do it. I want you to listen to this part. We continue contact with the very thing, with the very person, the very situation that was destructive in the first place. We often don't get better until we stop going there. You know that. You just don't want to face it. Starting at the deep end, acknowledge your secrets. Nothing nails us to the past more than the energy it takes to keep them. Then move forward by making a frank assessment of your character traits. Do you have a taste for blame? Pointing the finger feels so good. It's habit forming. But guess what? When you point the finger, it makes you powerless. Powerless. Now take a hard look at your habits of thinking. Have you allowed yourself to develop a rigid mind? And if so, know that you're trading the pleasure of certainty for the possibility of change. And you might want to pause to examine your most cherished memories, namely those of past happiness. From a distance, flaws disappear and good shimmers through. It's a fact. That's a joy. But it might make current reality dim by contrast. Do you see? You start to form maybe a healthier pattern in your mentality. To the degree that you stop any of the things we just talked about, you will come unstuck. But to move forward requires positive action. As we know all too well, without effort, yesterday hangs around on its own. Yesterday is just going to stick to you. Now, in closing, I'm going to share 6 quick action steps that you can take. And number 1 is anchor yourself in your future. It's hard to let go of the past in the absence of a positive view of tomorrow. You need a vision of the future. An investment in a distraction through or an excitement about, something ahead. That will supply the energy and the will to push you beyond the past. Creating it requires deliberate mental focus. Force yourself to take an online class with an eye toward, getting a different degree. Hire a trainer. Keep detailed records of your body's improvements. Create a new target or envision, a better job. Giving yourself a goal to work toward will help you drag your ass out of the quicksand of yesterday. And sure, finding your way forward can be a fight. The new cozy nest will take the edge off the painful loss of an old family setting, But you got to look at a lot of real estate, right? You got to go through the hurdles for it. The job that is a better fit may make the last humiliating failure appear as a blessing. But you've got to endure a lot of interviews, don't you? You got to go through a lot of sit-downs, don't you? And still, your emotional burden will be lighter. And when you stick to it and you stay fervent, then guess what? You start to form a better and healthier mindset. The next point is we have to discard. Look around at your own space, at your living situation. It sends a message about how open you are to change and rebuilding. Ruthless discard is the necessary path forward under specific life circumstances. When you're merging with a new partner into a new life, I mean, nobody needs two brown couches, right? Or most commonly, discard when you are downsizing. At any point in life, you might find it useful to move forward by simplifying. Consolidate. If you're sinking under past acquisitions, broken toys, oversized mortgages, messy basements, stuffed closets, discard. Whether by donating, selling, simply trashing, it's your only way forward. Because buried somewhere under everything that you've bought, you will likely find your actual real values. Poignantly discard when you're suffering. Slip all those memories, those memorabilia of your broken heart or botched startup into what's been described as Satan's suitcase. If you are still not able to toss it, stick it in a dark corner of a closet, and someday it will mean nothing to you. And you can toss it then. Begin small. Your nightstand drawer, maybe. Sort smart. Keep, toss, or transfer ownership. And as you get into the spirit, the keep pile will shrink. Prepare to feel anxious, energized, sad, overwhelmed, regretful, nostalgic. Doesn't matter how you feel as long as you keep discarding, you keep dealing, you keep processing. And then we have to repair. I'm asking you to now look at your history. Is there people that you've wronged in some way or a situation that's unsettled? One solid way to get past the past is to restore to a better whole. Those relationships that are frayed, whether from disuse, misunderstanding, or reluctance to see your past in a past conflict even. You didn't steal, but you've come to see that you've done damage. And who hasn't? We're human. You were consistently mean to a sibling maybe, or harsh with a parent, or abusive to an ex, or unsupportive to a friend in need. Well, make amends. Making amends rarely means anything as concrete, as sending cash, for example. It generally involves that you have to actually reach out to someone. You have to face-to-face meet them, or give them something in writing, which expresses what it is you're letting go. That process is liberating. That can help you. We have to transform your narrative. Simply put, we are a story. We are our story. Not so much the story of the events in our lives, but the story we tell ourselves about the role we played in the events. Hero or victim, beloved or unworthy, competent or careless. Then we have to forgive. The transformed narrative is a step along that jagged, rockiest path toward forgiveness. Is it really possible to be deeply hurt, unjustly treated, grievously wronged, and then forgive the perpetrator? Well, it is. I've seen it. I've done it. And it is the most profound way to free yourself from the emotional intrusions of the past and cleanse yourself of the poison that it left inside of you. Learn to be present. Nothing, not one single technique or inner evolution is as powerful an antidote to the past as the capacity to be present in your here and now. Be present in your future. Unfortunately, our natural capacity for that focus is severely limited by those great emotional magnets of past and future, which is fear, love, rage, anxiety, shame, regret, fantasy. The ability to focus on the present is amenable to improvement. The technique through which you better that capacity is mindfulness, A practice in which you note in a non-judgmental way the thoughts and sensations occurring at this very moment. And in closing this topic, let me say, mindfulness is an acquired skill. Its stress reduction benefits are well documented, and there are many positive emotional and spiritual side effects. And it still has a bonus. As your skill at mindfulness increases, you will, by definition, get past your past at last. I hope you guys were able to pull something from today. Today we've been talking about letting it go. If you missed the beginning, I encourage you to please go back, listen to the replay. And until next time, I'm encouraging you guys, let it go. Be happy and be healthy.